The rain hammered the cracked windshield like accusations long buried, each drop a reminder of the night Morgan had last seen these fog-shrouded streets of Willow Creek, Ohio, 16 years ago, when she was just a scared 9-year-old clutching a garbage bag of hand-me-downs. Now, at 25, she gripped the steering wheel of her beat-up Chevy until her knuckles whitened, the engine's rattle mirroring the storm in her chest as the old Foster house loomed ahead, its porch light flickering like a hesitant heartbeat. She killed the ignition, stepped into the downpour, and whispered to the ghosts, "I'm home, and this time, you're going to listen." Morgan's boots squelched on the overgrown path, water streaming down her face in rivulets that tasted of salt and regret. The house hadn't changed much, peeling blue paint, the sagging swing where she'd once dreamed of a family that wouldn't shatter. But she had. Leaner now, with tattoos snaking up her arms like maps of battles fought in Foster limbo, stars for the nights she'd stared at ceilings wondering if love was just a myth peddled to broken kids. Her heart pounded as she raised her fist to knock, the door creaking open before her knuckles met wood. There stood Elena, her former foster mother, 60-something and silver-streaked, eyes widening in a gasp that sucked the air from the storm. "Morgan? God, is it really you?" Elena's voice cracked, hands fluttering like startled birds. Behind her, the house smelled of apple pie and faded lavender, a cruel echo of the warmth that had soured into silence when Morgan was shipped off to the next placement. No calls, no letters, just a file stamped unadoptable because she dared to question the bruises her little brother Jamie had hidden under long sleeves. Elena pulled her inside, the door slamming shut on the rain, but Morgan felt the chill seep deeper. "We thought. After all these years." "You thought I'd vanished," Morgan finished, her voice steady but laced with the edge of a blade honed by therapy sessions and bar fights in Seattle dive joints. She shrugged off her soaked jacket, revealing the curve of her shoulders under a simple black tank, the kind that hugged her like armor. Elena's gaze darted away, uncomfortable with the woman her foster daughter had become, strong, unapologetic, with a quiet fire that whispered of loves she'd found in stolen moments with women who saw her scars as stories, not stains. But this wasn't a reunion for hugs. It was a reckoning. "I'm here because Jamie needs me. And because the truth about what happened that summer? It's rotting this family from the inside." Elena's face paled, the pie cooling forgotten on the counter. Upstairs, footsteps thundered, Jamie, now 24, bounding down with the reckless energy of a man who'd buried his pain in construction crews and cheap whiskey. Holy shit, Morg. He enveloped her in a bare hug that smelled of sawdust and relief, his broad frame dwarfing the girl he remembered. But his eyes, those same hazel mirrors of her own hidden hurts, flickered with something darker. Fear. You look good. Like you kicked the world's ass." She laughed, a short, brittle sound, pulling back to study him, the stubble shadowing his jaw, the way his hands trembled just a fraction. "Someone had to. For both of us." The living room enveloped them like a time capsule, faded photos on the mantel, Morgan's 9-year-old grin sandwiched between Elena and her husband, Tom, who was absent tonight at some VFW meeting, dodging the ghosts as always. They settled on the worn plaid couch, Elena pouring coffee that steamed like unspoken apologies. Morgan's fingers traced the mug's rim, her mind flashing to the last foster home, the one where she'd met Riley, the girl with storm-gray eyes and a laugh like summer thunder, who taught her that touch could heal if it came from the right hands. "Tell us," Jamie urged, leaning forward, elbows on knees scarred from falls they'd taken together chasing fireflies in the backyard. "Why now? After all this time?" Morgan set the mug down, the clink echoing like a gavel. "Because I found the letters. The ones you wrote to me, Jamie, begging me not to tell. And the ones from Riley, God, Riley, pleading for me to come back before it was too late." Her voice dipped, raw with the ache of first love shattered by secrets. Riley had been the neighbor kid, 14 to Morgan's 15 in that brief overlap of placements, their worlds colliding in whispered confessions under the willow tree. Kisses that tasted of cherry lip balm and rebellion, hands exploring in the dark barn loft, discovering bodies that society whispered were wrong but felt like the only right thing in a life of wrongs. But then the whispers turned to shouts. Accusations from Tom's brother, Uncle Ray, the family pillar who'd cornered Morgan one night, his breath reeking of bourbon, hands too rough on her shoulders as he slurred about fixing what he saw as her confusion with Riley. "I ran because I thought it would protect you all," Morgan confessed, her green eyes locking on Elena's, who flinched as if slapped. "Ray didn't just scare me that night. He hurt Jamie first. You knew, didn't you? The bruises, the way he'd flinch at loud voices. But adoption papers were on the line, and Ray was the golden boy, the one with the law degree who could make calls." The room thickened, the clock ticking like a bomb. Jamie's face crumpled, fists clenching until his nails bit palms. "Morg, I buried it. Told myself it was kid stuff, that coming out as gay later was my real shame. But you saw it all." Elena's tears came then, silent rivers carving lines in her foundation-cracked cheeks. "We were cowards. Tom wanted the perfect family photo, and I let fear win. When you left, we told ourselves you'd forget, that time would stitch the wounds." But Morgan hadn't forgotten. She'd fled to Seattle, couch surfing with activists who taught her pride parades weren't just rainbows but revolutions. There, she'd built a life. Barista by day, poet by night, falling into arms of women like Alex, whose touch was fire but couldn't douse the ember Riley had lit. Letters from home stopped, but Riley's never did. Tucked in a shoebox, yellowed promises of "wait for me" that Morgan had clung to through heartbreaks. As the storm raged outside, Morgan unpacked her duffel on the guest bed that still held the faint scent of her childhood lavender soap. The room was a shrine to the girl she'd been. Posters of boy bands she'd never crushed on, a diary locked with a heart-shaped key she'd lost. She sank onto the mattress, pulling out her phone, thumb hovering over Riley's number. Updated last year through a mutual friend on Facebook, a lifeline she'd ignored until now. "I'm back," she texted, the words blurring with unshed tears. "And I'm not running anymore." Downstairs, Jamie paced the kitchen, Elena watching him with the helplessness of a mother who'd failed twice over. "She deserves better than this mess," he muttered, cracking open a beer that foamed like his regret. "Ray's still around, you know. Thanksgiving King, preaching family values from his pulpit at the church." Elena nodded, her hands twisting a dish rag into knots. But Morgan strong. Look at her. Those eyes, like she carries the whole world's weight and smiles through it. Pride flickered in her voice, mingled with shame, a mother's love rediscovering its shape. Morning broke gray and sodden, the town of Willow Creek stirring like a beast from hibernation. Morgan slipped out early, boots crunching leaves toward the old willow tree, its branches weeping over the creek that had carried her secrets downstream. She traced the bark where she'd carved M+R forever with a pocket knife, the letters faded but indelible. Footsteps crunched behind her, Jamie, hands shoved in pockets, breath fogging the chill air. "Couldn't sleep either?" he asked, voice rough from ghosts. They sat on the bank, skipping stones that plipped into oblivion. "I came out to Tom last year," Jamie admitted, voice barely above the water's murmur. "Told him about the bar in Columbus where I met Derek, the guy who makes me feel like I'm not broken." Morgan's heart twisted, pride for her brother, sorrow for the boy who'd shouldered silence to shield her. "He hugged me," Jamie continued, a wry smile cracking his lips. "Said Ray was the devil we all ignored. But Morgan, what Ray did to you, that's why you and Riley." She nodded, throat tight. "He caught us kissing once. Called it unnatural, said he'd send me to conversion camp if I didn't stop confusing his niece." Riley was Ray's daughter, the forbidden fruit of small-town proximity, her rebellion a mirror to Morgan's own. They'd planned to run away together, to Chicago where parades welcomed girls like them, but Ray's threats had fractured that dream. Riley stayed, trapped in her father's web, while Morgan vanished into the system. Jamie's hand found hers, brother to sister in the quiet dawn. Call her. Today. This truth we're dragging up? It starts with you too. Morgan's phone buzzed in her pocket. Riley's reply. On my way. Hold on to that willow. I never let go. By noon, the house buzzed with uneasy normalcy. Elena fussing over pancakes stacked like peace offerings. Tom due home soon with his stoic silence. Morgan paced the porch, heart a war drum, when a red pickup rumbled up the drive, mud-splattered and defiant. Riley stepped out, 25 now, her gray eyes sharper, hair cropped short in a pixie cut that framed her face like a challenge. Jeans hugged her hips, a flannel shirt rolled to elbows revealing forearms inked with vines, symbols of growth from the girl who'd once trembled in Morgan's arms. Morgan, Riley breathed, crossing the space in 3 strides, their bodies colliding in a hug that bent time. Morgan inhaled her scent, vanilla and earth, unchanged, and felt the damn crack. You came, she whispered against Riley's neck, lips brushing skin that pebbled under the touch. Always was gonna, Riley murmured, pulling back just enough to cup Morgan's face, thumbs tracing cheekbones hollowed by years apart. Their kiss was inevitable, soft at first, then deepening with the hunger of deferred dreams, tongues tangling like roots seeking light. Elena watched from the window, a soft smile breaking through tears, witness to the love her family had nearly extinguished. But the idyll shattered with tires on gravel, Tom's truck, and behind it, Ray's gleaming SUV, uninvited as sin. Family meeting, Tom called, climbing out with forced cheer, but his eyes shadowed when they landed on Riley. Ray emerged last, tall and silver-foxed, his preacher's collar a noose of hypocrisy. Heard the prodigal returned, he boomed, gaze sliding over Morgan like oil on water. Brought the family scandal with her, I see. The air crackled, confrontation brewing like thunder. Morgan stepped forward, Riley's hand in hers anchor. Scandal? No, Uncle Ray.
Truth.
The kind that ends with you behind bars for what you did to Jamie.
To me.
To all of us. Jamie flanked her, Elena nodding from the porch, Tom frozen in dawning horror. Ray's laugh was a bark, but his eyes darted, guilty, cornered. You think words from a dyke foster kid will stick? He sneered, but his voice wavered. Riley's grip tightened, her voice steel. Try me, Dad. I've got tapes. Years of your sermons recorded. Every threat, every bruise hidden. Morgan's not alone anymore. The standoff stretched, rain threatening anew, until sirens wailed distant. Jamie's anonymous call from last night, insurance against denial. Ray's face drained of color, empire crumbling in the mud. As cuffs clicked hours later at the station, Morgan turned to Riley under the willow, their foreheads touching. We made it, she whispered. Not yet, Riley replied, lips curving. But together?
Yeah.
We will. Weeks blurred into a fragile thaw, court dates where Ray's facade cracked under cross-examination, Jamie testifying with Morgan's hand in his, Elena selling the house to fund therapy for them all. Tom, quieter now, attended PFLAG meetings, his apologies etched in actions, driving Morgan to the airport for her return to Seattle, but not before a backyard barbecue where rainbows fluttered from the fence. Riley stayed, her hand slipping into Morgan's under the table, fingers lacing like vows unspoken. Come with me, Morgan urged one night, stars wheeling overhead as they lay on a blanket by the creek. Seattle's got space for us. Poetry slams, coffee shops where they know your name and your pronouns without flinching. Riley's gray eyes searched hers, vulnerability raw. And your family? This truth we unearthed. It's messy, but it's ours now. Morgan kissed her palm, tasting future. They'll visit. Holidays with Derek and Jamie grilling burgers, Elena baking pies without burning the edges. We're the bridge, you and me. Fall deepened, leaves carpeting the ground like confetti from a hard-won parade. Morgan packed light this time, not fleeing, but folding in. The drive to the airport was silent communion, Riley's head on her shoulder, Tom's eyes misty in the rear view. At security, they clung, kissed salty with goodbyes that weren't final. "Write me letters," Riley teased, echoing their youth. "The kind that make me blush in church." "Every day," Morgan promised, boarding with heart full, the plane lifting toward horizons where love wasn't a secret but a sky. Back in Seattle, the city embraced her like an old flame, fog rolling off the sound, baristas calling her name with easy smiles. Alex had moved on gracefully, leaving space for Riley's daily texts, photos of Willow Creek sunrises, voice notes husky with "miss you," that curled warmth low in Morgan's belly. She poured it into poems, verses sold at open mics to crowds who snapped fingers in applause, seeing the lesbian fire in her words. Thanksgiving came swift, a summons home. The new house Elena rented was modest, strung with lights that twinkled like hesitant stars. Jamie and Derek arrived first, arms laden with pies and stories of Columbus renovations. Tom manned the grill, apron tied firm, while Elena fussed over tables set for 8, space for ghosts, but none invited. Riley waited on the porch, snow dusting her pixie cut, a scarf Morgan had knitted in stolen moments wrapped around her neck. Their reunion was quiet fire, bodies aligning on the swing, hands wandering under blankets as laughter echoed from inside. "Told Dad's congregation everything," Riley murmured, breath warm against Morgan's ear. "They didn't stone me." Some even clapped. Pride swelled in Morgan's chest, spilling into a kiss that deepened, tongues dancing slow as the snow's descent. Inside, toasts rang, to truths unearthed, to loves reclaimed. Jamie raised his glass, to the foster sister who came back and broke the chains. Later, in the guest room, Riley's body arched under Morgan's touch, skin flushed and alive, moans muffled into pillows as fingers traced maps of desire long denied. "I love you," Morgan gasped, the words a revelation, bodies cresting together in waves that washed away years. Dawn brought coffee and quiet plans, Riley applying to Seattle art schools, Morgan pitching her poetry chapbook on foster survival and queer resilience. The family photos on the new mantle included them all, smiles genuine, scars honored. As winter gripped Willow Creek, Morgan stood by the creek one last visit, Riley's arms around her waist, Jamie tossing stones nearby. "We survived the forgetting," she said, voice carrying on the wind. "Now we remember for each other." And in that remembering, they found not just truth, but grace. The new year dawned crisp, Willow Creek blanketed in frost that crunched under Morgan's boots as she walked the paths she'd once fled. Seattle called her back weekly, gigs at the Strangers' lit nights, where her voice wrapped audiences in the velvet ache of her story, but home tugged harder now, a tether woven from Riley's laughter and Elena's tentative hugs. Ray's trial loomed in February, a specter that cast long shadows, but Morgan met it head-on, her testimony prepared like a love letter to justice, measured, unflinching, laced with the humanity he'd tried to steal. Riley drove her to the courthouse that morning, the heater blasting against the chill, their hands linked over the gearshift. "You're brave as hell," Riley said, gray eyes soft with that mix of awe and desire that made Morgan's pulse stutter. At 25, Riley had bloomed into herself, curves softened by studio time painting canvases of fractured families mending, her flannel traded for silk blouses that whispered against skin when they tangled in sheets. Inside the marble halls, the air hummed with low voices and the scent of polished wood. Jamie waited in the hall, Derek's arm around his shoulders, a solid wall against the nerves. "We got this," he murmured, squeezing Morgan's arm. Elena and Tom flanked them, Elena's hand trembling in her lap as Ray was let in, shackles clinking like bad omens. His eyes met Morgan's, cold, unrepentant, but she held steady, rising when called. "Your Honor," she began, voice clear as creek water, I was 9 when I came to the Vasquez home, a foster kid with nothing but questions. Ray Vasquez answered them with fists and fear. The courtroom stilled as she recounted the nights. Jamie's whimpers from the basement, Ray's lessons, in the barn that left her bruised and doubting her own skin. He called my love for Riley unnatural, but it was his touch that twisted the world wrong. I ran to protect my brother, to shield his family from his poison. But silence is a chain. Today, I break it. Gasps rippled. Ray's lawyer objected, but the judge's gavel fell firm. Riley's tears fell unchecked from the gallery, her hand clutching Elena's, unlikely allies in grief's forge. When Morgan stepped down, Jamie pulled her into a hug that cracked ribs with relief. Proud of you, sis. Always was. Verdict came swift. Guilty on counts of assault, endangerment. A decade too late, but justice nonetheless. Outside, reporters swarmed, but Morgan waved them off, turning to Riley under a sky spitting sleet. Free, she breathed, their kiss fierce and claiming, bodies pressing close as flashes popped like distant fireworks. Back in Seattle by spring, Morgan's life unfurled like cherry blossoms along the waterfront. Her chapbook, Willow Scars, sold out at Elliott Bay Books, pages pulsing with lines like, her gray eyes held the storm I called home, slash fingers mapping routes no foster file could chart. Readings drew crowds, queer kids with wide eyes, elders nodding in recognition, each word a brick in the bridge between her past and this vibrant now. Riley arrived in May, UW acceptance letter in hand, her truck loaded with easels and dreams. Their apartment overlooking the market was chaos. Paint-splattered floors, Morgan's notebooks strewn like fallen leaves, nights where they'd cook pasta al dente and dance to Joni Mitchell, bodies swaying slow until desire ignited, clothes pooling as they explored with the reverence of rediscovery. Riley's mouth on her throat, hands cupping breasts with worship, Morgan arching into the heat, whispering mine, against sweat-damp skin. But fractures lingered. Phone calls from Willow Creek carried Elena's voice thin with worry. Tom's drinking again, says the town's whispering. Jamie confessed over video, Derek's face off screen. Some nights, the old flinches come back. Morgan flew home monthly, Riley in tow, their presence a balm. Barbecues where laughter drowned doubts, walks by the creek where hands held tight against old haunts. Summer swelled, heat mirage shimmering the pavement as Morgan and Riley road-tripped the coast. Big Sur cliffs where they made love in a tent to ocean roar, Portland Pride where rainbow flags wrapped them like arms. This is us, Morgan said one night, bonfire crackling, Riley's head on her lap. Not just surviving, the thriving. Fall brought harvest moons and harder truths. Ray's appeal dragged, letters from prison smuggled via a cousin, venomous pleas for forgiveness that Morgan burned in the sink, ashes swirling down like exorcised sins. Elena called in tears. He wrote me too. Says he's found God. Morgan's reply was steel wrapped in silk. Tell him God's for the living. We're done burying for him. Thanksgiving gathered them fuller. Derek proposed to Jamie over pie, rings glinting like promises. Tom raised a toast, voice gruff. To daughters of blood and choice, who teach us to see. Morgan's eyes met Riley's across the table, heat simmering beneath the words. Winter nights in Seattle were Riley's favorites. Curled on the couch, Morgan reading drafts aloud, her voice a caress. This one's about the first time I kissed you, Morgan murmured, lips brushing Riley's temple. The poem flowed, tongue tentative on lip, hearts hammering like war drums, the barn's hay prickling backs as worlds narrowed to breath and beat. Riley's response was action, guiding Morgan to bed, undressing her slow, mouth trailing fire down collarbone to navel, fingers delving where need pooled hot. They moved in sync, gasps harmonizing, climax crashing like waves on unseen shores. By spring's thaw, Morgan's second book deal landed, agent buzzing about tours. East Coast, then Midwest home turf, she told Riley over breakfast, pancakes sticky sweet. Riley grinned, but shadows lurked. What if the whispers follow? Small towns don't forget. Then we shout louder, Morgan vowed, pulling her close. Their love was the anchor, fierce, fluid, a river carving canyons through stone. Summer solstice found them in Willow Creek for Elena's birthday, the backyard strung with lanterns like fireflies caught. Jamie and Derek slow danced to oldies, Tom grilling with uncharacteristic ease. As dusk fell, Morgan led Riley to the willow, its branches a cathedral. "Marry me," she said, kneeling in moss, a ring of woven silver and willow bark glinting in her palm. "Not for papers, but for us, the truth we chose." Riley's yes was a sob, their kiss sealing it under stars that witnessed rebirth. The family cheered from afar, Elena's arms enveloping them both. "My girls." The wedding came autumnal, leaves gold as the rings they exchanged in a clearing by the creek, officiant a queer elder from Seattle, vows handwritten on pages from Morgan's diary. "I promise to hold your storms," Riley said, voice breaking, "and dance in your sun." Morgan's reply, "You are my home, built from scars and stars." Honeymoon in the Cascades, cabin by a lake, days hiking trails where hands swung free, nights of skin on skin, exploring with lazy hunger, Riley's tongue circling peaks, Morgan's fingers curling deep, cries echoing off pines. They returned changed, rings catching light like beacons. Years layered like sediment, Morgan's tours selling books that sparked conversations in libraries from Boston to Boise, Riley's gallery shows of reclaimed roots, series drawing tears and sales. Jamie and Derek adopted a foster kid, a boy with wide eyes who called Morgan Auntie Mo, teaching her patience in tiny hugs. Elena aged gracefully, volunteering at the local shelter, her letters to Morgan filled with pride. "You gave us courage." Tom passed quietly in their 10th year, his last words to Morgan, "Love like yours? It's the real gospel." Ray died in prison unmourned, his shadow fading like ink in rain. Willow Creek softened, pride flags fluttering on porches, whispers turned to welcomes. On their anniversary, Morgan and Riley returned to the creek, blankets spread, wine poured. 15 years, Riley marveled, head on Morgan's shoulder. From forgotten to forever. Morgan kissed her crown, heart full as the sky. And the truth? It's ours to tell, one story at a time. In that circle, family woven from fractures, they found not just survival, but the profound grace of being seen. Spring rains softened the earth as Morgan navigated the familiar curves of I-90 back to Willow Creek, her hybrid humming efficiently where her old Chevy had rattled like bones. At 30, she traded ink for a tenure-track position at a community college in Seattle, teaching creative writing to undergrads hungry for voices like hers, pages filled with queer narratives that challenged the canon. Riley, beside her, sketched in a notebook, her lines capturing the blur of evergreens. "Road to Roots," she titled it, a prelude to the family summit they'd called. Jamie's adoption papers had hit a snag, background checks dredging up Ray's ghost, social workers eyeing his record with suspicion. "It's bullshit," he'd vented on the phone, voice thick. "Little Timmy needs a home, not this red tape hell." Morgan gripped the wheel tighter, Riley's hand on her thigh a steadying pulse. "We're fixing it," she assured, though doubt gnawed. Their own life was steady. The apartment upgraded to a craftsman house with a studio for Riley's oils, mornings of coffee and kisses, evenings where Morgan graded papers to the rhythm of Riley's brushstrokes. Elena greeted them at the diner, neutral ground with vinyl booths and pie that flaked like old apologies. Tom was gone 2 years now, his chair empty, but his chair pushed in neat. "He'd be proud," Elena said, stirring tea, her hands veined like maps. Jamie arrived disheveled, Derek trailing with Timmy on his hip, the 4-year-old with curls like Jamie's, clutching a toy truck. "Aunt Mo," the boy squealed, launching into her arms, his weight a reminder of why they fought. Over coffee refills, they strategized. Letters from Morgan's colleagues vouching character. Riley's artwork donated to the Shelter for Goodwill. And my testimony, Morgan added, voice firm. If they want the past, I'll give it. How Jamie rose from it, built this. Timmy babbled about trucks, oblivious, his laughter a light piercing the booth's dim. That night, in the guest room of Elena's rental, Morgan and Riley shed the day's armor. You're my hero, Riley whispered, lips trailing Morgan's jaw, hands slipping under tank tops to trace ribs that had healed crooked. Morgan gasped, arching as Riley's mouth found nipple, teasing with teeth and tongue until need coiled tight. They moved fluid, Riley's thigh between Morgan's, friction building to shudders that left them tangled, breaths sinking in afterglow. We make our own family, Morgan murmured, fingers carding Riley's short hair. Dawn brought action, meetings with caseworkers, Elena charming with baked goods, Jamie's earnest pleas. By week's end, papers stamped approval, Timmy's grin wide as the creak when they signed. Uncle Jay, he yelled, hugging Jamie's leg, the room erupting in cheers that echoed like vindication. Summer festivals bloomed. Willow Creek's Pride Picnic, a fledgling event with booths and balloons, rainbow flags snapping in breeze. Morgan read from her latest, Creekside Vows, verses of Her Touch, a psalm against the patriarch's thunder. Riley's stall sold prints, women entwined under willows, colors vivid as their love. Kids like Timmy chased bubbles, parents nodding to Morgan with quiet thanks. Your book's helping my daughter. Fall tenure granted, Morgan celebrated with a reading tour, Chicago's Women and Children First, where she met Lena, a poet with fire in her pen and eyes that lingered. Flotation sparked, drinks after, laughter over shared scars, but Morgan's ring-glinted award. She confessed to Riley over FaceTime, voice sheepish. Just words, babe. You're my everything. Riley's laugh was bomb. Flirt back. Keeps the spark. But trust's thread pulled taut. That night, alone in a hotel, Morgan touched herself to memories of Riley's mouth, climax hollow without her. Winter holidays swelled the house. Timmy's first snowman, Derek's carols off-key, Elena's stories of Tom dancing in the kitchen. New Year's, under mistletoe, Morgan pulled Riley close, tongues tangling slow, hands cupping ass as cheers faded. Upstairs, they fucked with urgency, Morgan pinning Riley to the door, fingers plunging deep, Riley's nails raking back as she came with a cry that muffled into shoulder. Spring unearthed old letters in Elena's attic, Tom's unsent apologies to Morgan, yellowed pleas for forgiveness. Reading them by lamplight, tears fell. Riley held her, whispering he saw you at the end. Summer road trip with Jamie's family, Yellowstone geysers steaming like released tensions, Timmy's awe at bison mirroring their own reclaimed wildness. Nights intense, Morgan and Riley slipped away, making love under stars, Riley's strap harnessed, thrusting slow as Morgan rode waves of pleasure, gasps lost to wind. Fall brought Riley's solo show in New York, fractured frames, portraits of foster faces, Morgan's among them, eyes fierce, lips curved in quiet power. The opening was electric, critics praising raw intimacy, collectors bidding high. Backstage, champagne fizzed as Riley kissed Morgan. This is us, on every wall. Winter's grip loosened into award season. Morgan's book shortlisted for a Lambda, readings packed. Acceptance speech. To the women who loved me when I was lost, Riley, you mapped the way home. Their 15th anniversary dawned in the Cascades again, cabin snowed in, fire crackling. Riley blindfolded Morgan, leading her to a easel, a painting of their wedding, strokes alive with memory. My vow, she said. Morgan unveiled hers, a chapbook, gray-eyed grace, dedicated to my forever hook. That night, bodies oiled and eager, they explored with toys from a discreet shop, vibrator humming against clits as fingers laced, orgasms sinking in symphonies of touch. Aging with you, Morgan panted. Is the plot twist I love. Spring classes buzzed, students penning queer futures, inspired by Morgan's tales. Riley taught workshops, her energy magnetic. Willow Creek visits normalized, Timmy calling them aunties, Elena dating a widow from the shelter. Gentle steps. Summer Pride in Seattle. Floats thumping bass, Morgan and Riley marching hand in hand, rings catching sun. A kid with their flag approached. Your book's why I came out. Morgan knelt, hugging tight. Own your story, kid. Fall harvest. Elena's 60th, backyard feast with toast to Tom, to raise irrelevance. Jamie announced baby plans, surrogate on board, joy rippling like creek water. Winter solstice ritual. Bonfire by the water, vows renewed under moon. Riley's lips on Morgan's pulse, hands wandering as flames danced. Home. They made love slow, scissoring hips grinding slick, climaxes blooming soft as snow. By 35, Morgan's legacy grew. TEDx talk on queer resilience in foster shadows, views soaring. Riley's murals grace Seattle walls, women embracing in public pride. One crisp autumn day, walking the creek with the family, Timmy splashing, Jamie and Derek hand in hand, Elena arm-linked with her partner. Morgan paused at the willow. We turned forgetting to fierce, she said, Riley's head on her shoulder. And the truth, Riley murmured, kissing her temple. It's the love that lasts. In their woven world, grace wasn't endpoint, but the endless path. The ink on Morgan's latest contract was barely dry, a memoir deal with a major press, forgotten no more, promising to peel back foster layers with the scalpel of her pen, when the call came from Willow Creek's sheriff's office. Ms. Vasquez? It's about your uncle, Ray.
He's passed.
Complications from the cancer they found late. The words hung, clinical as a diagnosis, but Morgan felt no surge of triumph, only a hollow echo in her chest, like wind through empty branches. Riley found her on the porch swing, phone limp in hand, eyes distant on the sound's gray churn. Hey, she said soft, settling close, thigh pressing warm against Morgan's. At 32, Riley's features had sharpened with time, laugh lines framing gray eyes, her pixie now threaded with silver that she wore like medals. Talk to me. Morgan leaned in, inhaling vanilla and paint thinner. He's gone. No fanfare, just gone. Her voice cracked on the edge of relief and rage, the man who'd scarred their youth reduced to a file in some prison infirmary. Riley's arms circled her waist, pulling tight, lips brushing temple in that way that grounded. We mourn the boy he could have been, Riley whispered, not the monster he chose. They flew home that weekend. The planes hum a lullaby over Rockies, dusted white. Elena met them at the gate, Riley now at 65, her embrace fierce. Didn't have to come, she said, but her eyes pleaded otherwise. Jamie and Derek waited in the terminal, Timmy, 8 now, lanky with opinions, tugging Morgan's sleeve. Anna Mo, can we get ice cream after the... You know. The service was small, courthouse steps under overcast skies, a handful of distant relatives murmuring platitudes. Ray's casket gleamed cheap mahogany, no preacher to eulogize, the church he'd lorded over long since ousted him. Morgan stood apart with Riley, hands clasped, watching dirt patter like rain on wood. Closure. Riley asked, voice low. More like compost, Morgan replied, Rye. Feeds the growth. Jamie joined them, Derek holding Timmy back, the boy's questions deflected with promises of park swings. He wrote me one last letter, Jamie admitted, envelope creased in his pocket. Apologized. Said prison god showed him his sins. He shrugged, eyes wet. Doesn't erase, but maybe eases. Back at Elena's, the house smelled of lasagna and loss unpacked. Timmy played trucks in the living room, oblivious engine roars drowning adult murmurs. Over wine, story surfaced. Ray's boyhood pranks, the war vet who'd come home twisted, choices snowballing to cruelty. Elena's voice trembled. I saw the good once. Buried it with the bad. Morgan reached across, hand on hers. We all did. But look at us unburied. That night, in the childhood room, Morgan and Riley shed layers literal and not. Fuck the ghosts, Morgan growled, pushing Riley against the wall, mouth claiming neck with bites that bloomed red. Riley moaned, hands fisting auburn hair graying at temples, legs parting as Morgan's knee nudged insistent. Fingers delved, slick and sure, Riley's clit throbbing under thumb as hips bucked. Yes there, she gasped, climax ripping through with a shudder that left her boneless. Morgan following suit, grinding against thigh until stars burst behind eyes. Morning brought normalcy. Pancakes with Timmy's chocolate chips, Jamie's update on the adoption agency praising their stability. Thanks to you, he said, clapping Morgan's shoulder. Your book's gonna blow it open. Foster's telling their truths. Summer unfurled lazy, Morgan's writing retreat in the cabin. Pages pouring, Riley joining weekends with picnics and paints. One afternoon, hiking trails lush with ferns, they paused at a overlook, Puget Sound sparkling below. Kids? Riley asked sudden, voice tentative. They danced around it, sperm donors, adoption waits, but Morgan's heart flipped.
Yeah.
With you? Hell yes. Fall's harvest moon saw them at fertility clinics, consultations laced with hope and hurdles. Elena knitted booties unbidden. Jamie teasing uncle again? Winter holidays amplified joy. Timmy's school play as a wise man, Derek's promotion, Elena's partner proposing over eggnog. News broke in spring. Morgan's memoir acquired for film rights, a queer director attached, whispers of Oscar bait. Readings surged, fans queuing with tattoos of her lines. Riley's mural commission for the college, roots reclaimed, women and children linking arms under willows. But doubt crept in summer's heat, a tabloid snippet from Ray's service. Foster's scandal unearthed, twisting truths for clicks. Hate mail trickled, slurs and envelopes, voicemails venomous. Morgan woke sweating, Riley's arms her harbor. They're scared, Riley soothed, making love gentle, mouths mapping scars, fingers circling slow to build pleasure patient, orgasm soft as dawn. Fall tour, coasts dotted with spotlights, Morgan's voice steady. Hates the echo of buried fear. Loves the roar that drowns it. Back home, they decided. IVF, a donor from Jamie's circle, dreams seeded. Winter solstice, positive test in hand. Riley's tears soaked Morgan's shirt. Our story grows, she whispered, bellies yet flat but hearts full. Spring bloomed miracles. Ultrasounds showing twins girls. Elena's nursery painted lavender, Timmy practicing cousin with stuffed bears. Morgan's book launched to acclaim, film greenlit, her face on billboards, foster daughter turned truth-teller. Summer's pride swelled personal. Bellies rounding under tees, marching with hands on bumps, chants of family defined by us. A fan gifted booties embroidered warriors. Fall harvest, baby shower under the willow, ribbons fluttering, stories swapped of births and rebirths. Labor came swift in winter's cusp, twins arriving howling, Lila gray, after Riley's eyes, willow scarlet, auburn fierce like Morgan. Nights blurred to feeds and folds, Riley's breast to one, Morgan's bottle to the other, exhaustion laced with ecstasy. We did this, Morgan marveled, watching Riley rock Lila, moonlight gilding her profile. Spring's first walk. Babes and carriers, creek murmuring welcome. Jamie chased Timmy, 10 now, brotherly, Derek snapping photos, Elena cooing.
Full circle, she said.
Summer's solstice bonfire. Vows to daughters, to each other. Riley's kiss salt sweet. Our truths, their legacy. In the fire's glow, Morgan held her world, love's endless, graceful bloom. Lila's first word was mama, pointed at Riley over mashed peas, her gray eyes, mirror to her mother's, sparkling with intent. Willow, ever the firebrand, babbled MOMO. A week later, chubby fist-banging high-chair in echo. At 36, Morgan marveled at the chaos. The house a symphony of cries and coos. Riley's paints pushed aside for playmats, her own desk buried under board books with rainbow spines. The memoir film wrapped principal photography in Vancouver, dailies sent like love letters, Morgan's younger self portrayed by a rising star with green eyes and grit, Riley consulting on set for authenticity's sake. Willow Creek pulled them east for Lila's christening, secular, under the willow with a circle of chosen kin. Elena, 70 now but spry, held the water bowl, her partner's hand steadying. Jamie and Derek arrived with Timmy, 12 and towering, his braces flashing in grins as he babysat, the twins with surprising patience. "They like my jokes," he boasted, eliciting giggles from Willow. The ceremony was simple. Vows of protection, rings exchanged anew on pinky fingers slick with creek water. "May they know truth is strength," Morgan intoned, Riley's and love as home sealing it. Picnic followed, blanket spread, Elena's potato salad a staple, laughter weaving through breeze. But undercurrents stirred, a letter from Ray's estate lawyer, paltry inheritance with strings, silence clauses Morgan shredded unread. "Poison's last gasp," Riley said, kissing her fierce that night in the guest bed, bodies curving spoon close, hands wandering lazy to stoke embers. Fingers slipped between thighs, circling clits in tandem rhythm, breaths hitching as pleasure crested shared, soft moans muffled into necks. Summer's heat wave baked Seattle, twins napping in AC hum as Morgan revised her next manuscript, Poems for Daughters, Little Warriors. Riley's gallery show loomed, nurtured flames, canvases of maternal forms, bellies and breasts rendered bold. Opening night, Morgan juggled carriers, fans cooing over Lila's tuft of auburn, Willow's solemn stare. "Your muses," a critic said, toasting Riley's triumph. Fall foliage tour, East Coast leaves aflame, readings in Boston where Morgan met Foster alumni, stories mirroring hers in midnight meetups. One night, hotel bar, a woman, editor with sharp wit, flirted over whiskeys, her hand brushing Morgan's. "Tempting," Morgan admitted later to Riley, video call flickering. "But you're my ink." Riley's grin wicked. "Prove it when home." Reunion was fire. Door barely shut, clothes shed in hall, Morgan lifting Riley against wall, mouth devouring breasts as legs wrapped waist. Strap donned hasty, thrusts deep and desperate, Riley's cries peaking in shudders that buckled knees. Winter holidays amplified. Twins for Santa, Timmy's eye rolls, Elena's tales of Tom's Christmases past. New Year's, family bonfire on the beach, resolutions whispered, Morgan's more presence, Riley's deeper colors. Spring's renewal, Lila's crawl toward creekside visits, Willow's babble evolving to love you. Film premiere loomed, red carpet nerves jangling. "We're the real stars," Riley teased, fitting Morgan's gown, emerald silk hugging curves softened by motherhood. LA buzzed electric, flashes blinding, after-party toasts to trailblazers. Morgan's speech choked. "For every forgotten kid, this light's yours." Backstage, Riley pulled her into shadows, kiss hungry, hands cupping ass under fabric. Hotel suite waited, champagne chilled, bodies bared slow, 69 tangle of tongues and fingers, climaxes blooming mutual as waves. Summer pride evolved. Family floats, twins in tiny tees waving flags, chants of love wins their lullaby. A protest turn, countergroups shouting slurs, Morgan shielded babes, Riley's arms steel. "Not today," she growled, voice carrying. Fall harvest, Elena's memoir workshop, Morgan guesting, her mother in spirit penning pages of regret redeemed. Jamie's second adoption, a girl, Mia, 5 and fierce, Timmy's reluctant big bro act melting fast. Winter's grip, twins' second birthday, cakes smeared, laughter loud. Ray's anniversary unmarked, a quiet burn of sage at the creek. By 38, Morgan's professorship tenured, classes on queer lit packed. Riley's murals commissioned nationwide, travel splitting them weeks, phone sex sustaining, voices husky over lines. Touch where I would, babe. Slow circles, yes. Reunions explosive, airport pickups to backseat grinds, home to marathon sessions, vibrators humming, bodies slick, exploring with toys that stretched boundaries, pleasure layered till exhaustion claimed. Spring breakthrough. Lila's first steps toward Morgan, Willow's echo chase. Elena's health scare, hip replacement, rallied them, hospital vigils turning to home care rotations. Summer solstice. Cabin retreat, babes with sitters, Morgan and Riley reclaiming wild, hikes nude, lake swims ending in shallows, water lapping as Riley's mouth worked magic underwater, surfacing to Morgan's thrusting fingers, orgasms rippling surface. Fall's chill. Film awards buzz, nominations rolling. Willow Creek screening, town hall packed, tears flowing as credits rolled, Q&A Morgan's truth unvarnished. Winter Gala. Win for adapted screenplay, Morgan on stage. To Riley, my co-author in life. After-party dance. Bodies close, hands low on backs, hotel blur of silk sheets and strap play. Riley topping with harness, Morgan's pleas, harder, met with rhythm relentless. 39 dawned with plans. Third child? Or savor two? Decisions deferred in daily grace. Park picnics. Bedtime stories of warrior aunties. One autumn eve, creek walk with full brood. Mia on Jamie's shoulders, twins toddling, Morgan paused, Riley's hand in hers. Our truth's a tapestry now, she said. Riley squeezed, woven strong, colors eternal. In their legacies loom, love's pattern endured. The twins turned 4 in a whirlwind of glitter and cake, Lila's gray eyes solemn as she blew candles, Willow's auburn curls bouncing with her whoops. Morgan, 40 now, felt the milestone in her bones. Laugh lines etched deeper, but strength coiled tighter, her body a testament to births and battles. The house expanded with a nursery addition, Riley's studio spilling into sunroom where canvases dried like open wounds healing. Her latest series, Generations Guarded, hung in a Chicago museum, portraits of Elena cradling Mia, Jamie with Timmy's teen scowl, Morgan and Riley midlaugh, twins at ankles, layers of lineage reclaimed. Willow Creek's annual Foster Gala honored Morgan that summer, a black tie affair in the old mill-turned venue, lanterns swaying like fireflies. Elena, pins in her silver hair, pinned a corsage to Morgan's emerald dress, for the daughter who returned light. Jamie emceed, jokes landing soft, Derek's pride evident in his grip on Timmy, 14, all limbs and sarcasm, but eyes soft for his sister's twirls. Riley, in sapphire silk that hugged her curves, led Morgan to the dance floor, their waltz drawing whistles, hands low on hips, breaths mingling as strings swelled. Still takes my breath, Riley murmured, lips brushing ear. Back at the hotel, champagne fizzed forgotten as gowns pooled, bodies familiar yet thrilling. Riley's mouth tracing stretch marks like constellations, fingers delving slow to curl against that spot. Morgan's gasps, yes, love, spurring rhythm till thighs quaked, release crashing duel. Fall's Film Awards circuit peaked in Toronto. Win for Best Screenplay, Morgan's acceptance tear-streaked. Truth isn't told alone. Riley, you scripted my heart. Press junkets probed. How queer was the set? Morgan's reply sharp. As queer as life. Unapologetic. Winter holidays scaled up. Elena's partner, Clara, official now, her recipes mingling with tradition. Timmy's first crush announced shy over lax, Jamie's counsel dad firm. Twins gifts, books of fierce girls, dolls with pantsuits. Spring's renewal hit snag, Riley's knee injury from studio slip, crutches clacking through house. Morgan shouldered loads, Diapers, deadlines, doctor's runs. Resentment flickering brief before love doused. I hate kneading, Riley confessed one night, head on lap. Morgan's fingers carded hair. Kneading's the thread that binds. That eve, intimacy adapted. Riley seated, Morgan kneeling, tongue worshipping folds till Riley arched, cries peaking in waves that soaked thighs. Summer pride in D.C. Family flyin', twins waving signs love is family, marching with congresswomen. Backlash lurked, online trolls dredging Ray's dirt, but Morgan's block button swift, therapy sessions fortifying. Fall harvest. Mia's school play, 5-year-old which cackling steals. Elena's 80th loomed, plans for a creekside bash. Morgan's third book, Echoes of Return, hit shelves, prose poem hybrid, dedications to the women who wove me. Winter's cusp, twins' preschool jitters, Lila's cling, Willow's bravado masking fear. Drop-off tears mutual, pick-up hugs healing. 41 brought 10-year sabbatical. Morgan's cross-country lecture tour, Riley tagging with easel. Stops in Austin. Queer bookstore reading, fans sharing foster scars over tacos. Nights in motels, quickies against doors, Riley's vibrator buzzing as Morgan rode face, pleasure muffled in pillows. Home by spring. Elena's birthday bash, Willow draped, Clara's vows, forever family. Health check. All clear but talks turned serious, estate plans, trusts for kids. Summer solstice cabin. Full house, Jamie's crew joining. Lake days with splashes, evenings of esmores and stories, Ray's shadow a footnote, laughed off. One dusk, as sun dipped, Morgan and Riley rode out, oars dipping silent. Legacy, Morgan said, hand on Riley's knee. What do we leave? Riley's smile soft. Each other. That's enough. Fall's chill. Twins kindergarten. Backpacks oversized. Pride swelling parental. Mia's ballet recital. Timmy's eye roll supportive. Winter awards. Riley's MacArthur nod. Genius grant for visual storytelling. Party with toasts. Morgan's kiss claiming. My genius. Celebration private. Harness and oils, Riley topping slow, every thrust to gratitude, Morgan's nails digging as ecstasy built, shattering in sync. 42 dawned with adoptions finalized, Mia's papers sealed, family photos updated. Elena's travels with Clara, Italy dreams shared over brunch. Spring breakthrough, Lila's poem recited shy, Mama strong, like tree, Willow's drawing of 4 hands linked. Summer road trip, Route 66 echoes, twins quizzing history, laughs at kitsch stops. Nights in teepees, family piles, but Morgan and Riley slipping to stars, fingers linked overhead as meteors streaked. Fall foliage, Elena's memoir published, Morgan editing, forward Heartfelt. Launch in Willow Creek Library, town turning out, former skeptics buying copies, apologies and eyes. Winter's grace, twins holiday pageant, angels with attitude. New Year's resolution, more adventures, less anchors. By 43, Morgan's film sequel greenlit, her script, Queer Elders' Tales. Riley's mural for the White House Visitor Center, American Tapestries. One crisp eve, Creekside with grandkids in waiting, Timmy's girlfriend pregnant. Morgan leaned into Riley. Forgotten? Never again. Riley's kiss, heard held home. Love's narrative, ever unfolding. The twins' 8th birthday dawned with balloon invasions and pancake towers, Lila's gray eyes calculating gift unwraps, Willow's energy a whirlwind scattering wrappings. At 44, Morgan's reflection showed silver threading auburn, but her stride held the same purpose. Professor Emerita now, classes handed to protégés, time freed for writing residencies and Riley's globe-trotting exhibits. Their home, a haven of art and chaos, walls hung with family portraits, Elena and Clara honeymooning in Venice, Jamie and Derek renewing vows in Columbus. Timmy, 18, college-bound, grinning with his fiancée's bump showing. Willow Creek's legacy project launched that summer, a foster center named Morgan's Bridge, ribbon-cut with speeches and tears. Elena, 82, gripped the podium. She crossed the waters we feared. Jamie's arm around Derek, Mia, 10, braids flying, cheering loudest. Timmy's son, nephew now, but family blurs, toddling at ankles. Riley's hand in Morgan's, rings worn thin but tight. "Your mark," she whispered. Post-ceremony picnic, twins chasing cousins, laughter a chorus drowning old silences. Fall's harvest brought Elena's fade. Diagnosis whispered. Dementia creeping, memories fraying like hems. Visits intensified, Morgan reading her own books aloud, Riley sketching her profile daily, capturing the woman before she slipped. "Don't forget us," Elena pleaded one lucid afternoon, hand trembling in Morgan's. "Never, Mama E," Morgan vowed, throat tight. Nights home, grief channeled, Riley's body her solace, slow undressing by firelight, mouths mapping familiar landscapes, nipples pebbled under tongues, fingers tracing spines to delve wet heat, climaxes quiet, tears mingling on pillows. Winter holidays tempered joy with ache, Elena's confusion peaking, mistaking Riley for young Morgan, stories looping. Twins' empathy bloomed, Lila's hugs gentle, Willow's songs soothing. Timmy's wedding small, lakeside, Morgan officiating. Love bridges all. Spring's thaw, Elena placed in memory care near Clara, visits ritual, picnics with puzzles, laughs at mix-ups. Morgan's fourth book, Bridges Built, Elegy and Guide, dedicated to E, who held the line. Summer Pride International, London March, twins wide-eyed at crowds, Riley's mural unveiling at Tate, Global Roots, queer families worldwide. Backlash minimal, countered by allies' amplification. Fall Foliage Tour, New England Leaves, readings in barns echoing youth. One eve, in with clawfoot tub, Morgan and Riley soaked, bubbles foaming as hands wandered, Riley's fingers scissoring inside, Morgan's thumb on clit, water sloshing with building moans, release rippling warm. Winter's cusp, Elena's decline swift, final days bedside with songs and strokes. Passing peaceful, hand in Clara's, Morgan's whisper, rest love. Funeral under willow, ashes to creek, toasts to the mother we chose. Spring morning bloom tentative. Clara joining holidays, stories shared over tea. Twins' questions answered honest. Grief's a wave, rides out. Summer solstice cabin, healing circle, fireside truths. Jamie's sobriety milestone, Derek's promotion, Mia's coming out as bi, celebrated with hugs. Fall's chill, Timmy's baby born, niece Nora, Morgan and Riley got aunts, cradling tiny, hearts full. Winter awards, Morgan's Lifetime Achievement Lambda, speech. Bridges aren't built alone, Riley, you are mine. Gala afterglow, sweet with mirrors, bodies reflected in multiples, Riley behind, strap thrusting as Morgan watched, hands braced, pleasure amplified in visuals, cries echoing till collapse sated. 46. Sabbatical in Paris, twins with Jamie, apartment overlooking Seine. Mornings cafe, afternoons Louvre sketches, evenings Seine walks hand in hand. Second honeymoon, Riley quipped, but nights proved it. Balcony whispers turning to bed, vibrators and oils, exploring with leisure, orgasms drawn long under Eiffel glow. Home by fall, Nora's baptism, family swelling. Mia's first crush, guidance gentle. Winter's grace, twins school play, Lila's lead, Willow's chorus. Holiday lights strung, Clara's first without Elena, tears, then toasts. 47. Morgan's film franchise expands, third installment, Elder's Wisdom. Riley's TED Talk, art as activism, views viral. Spring adventure, Galapagos family trip, turtles ancient as time, twins awe at evolution. Nights in eco-lodges, quick parentals to passionate reunions, fingers and tongues hasty, muffled in tropics hum. Summer pride home, Seattle floats, Nora in carrier, chants familial. Fall harvest, Mia's quinceanera, dances wild, Morgan and Riley swaying slow. Winter solstice, twins 10th, double digits, dreams voiced, Lila artist, Willow writer. By 48, legacy solid, scholarships in Elena's name, Foster Advocacy Board for Morgan. Riley's retrospective museum tour. One eve, Creek return, full circle, grandkids splashing, Jamie grilling. Morgan to Riley. Our story's epic. Kiss soft. And we're the heroines. Love's chronicle, timeless. The twins' 12th birthday marked a pivot, Lila's braces gleaming in awkward grins, Willow's soccer cleats mud-caked, their questions sharpening like pencils. Mom, was Great-Uncle Ray really bad? Morgan paused mid-story, Riley's glance supportive across dinner table. At 50, her hair fully silver, styled short like Riley's, she chose truth-tempered. He hurt people we love. But we chose light over his dark. Willow Creek evolved, Morgan's Bridge thriving, annual storytelling nights where alums shared, scars to stars. Jamie directed now, Derek's funding firm, Mia, 15, out and proud, volunteering, Timmy's family wife, 2 kids, anchors. Summer's heat-pressed, family reunion at the cabin. Lakeside chaos, Nora, 4, terror with floats, Timmy's boy Theo chasing. Elena's absence a soft hollow, filled with Clara's ukulele strums, songs of old. Riley, 52, her knee scarred but step-sure, led art therapy sessions at the center, paints for pain, colors for courage. One afternoon, sketching with Lila, who inherited her gray-eyed focus. Draw our family tree, the girl said, branches twisting queer and strong. Fall's tour, Morgan's oral history project, Voices from the Bridge, podcasts interviewing Fosters nationwide. Stops in Atlanta. Queer Center reading, fans with tattoos of her willow carving. Nights with Riley, hotel jacuzzis bubbling, bodies buoyant, Riley's mouth underwater teasing, surfacing to Morgan's fingers plunging, jets amplifying shudders to ecstasy. Winter holidays, twins Hanukkah Christmas mash, Jamie's influence, lax with lights. Nora's recitals, Theo's blocks toppling. Spring's bloom, Lila's first crush, girl from soccer, hand-holding shy. Morgan's counsel, heart's compass, follow true. Willow's poetry slam entry, verses echoing moms. Scars are maps to treasure. Summer Pride Global, Tokyo, Riley's exhibit, twins cultural sponges, sushi and shrines. Backlash rare, but one heckler at panel. Your truth ruined families. Morgan's mic drop, mine mended. Fall harvest, Mia's Sweet 16, roadster gleaming, speeches on driving your narrative. Winter awards, Riley's knighthood equivalent. OB for Arts, London Gala. Morgan's gown vintage, their dance scandalously close. Celebration, Thames Suite, champagne and cuffs, playful, silk, Riley binding wrists gentle, teasing with feathers then tongue, building to Morgan's pleas, release a torrent unbound. 51. Morgan's retirement party, college auditorium packed, speeches from grads, twins slideshow of Mom's Muses. Sabbatical to Tuscany, villas and vines, writing in olive groves, Riley painting landscapes alive. Nights Vino Loose, outdoor chaise, stars witnesses as fingers and toys explored, double-ended dildo sinking thrusts, moans harmonizing with crickets. Home fall, Nora's kindergarten, Theo's mischief, Clara's remarriage, quiet, to a poet, Morgan maid of honor, vows echoing her own. Winter solstice, twins bat mitzvah prep, exploratory, Questions on faith queer. 52. Lila's coming out casual over cereal, like you too. Hugs and ice cream. Willow's novel draft, mom editing late nights. Summer adventure. Alaska cruise, glaciers calving like old grief shed. Family deckside, stories swapped. Fall foliage, Elena's memorial bench dedication, creek view, plaque, held with grace. Winter's grace, twins 13th, teen threshold, phones earned, talks on consent, love. By 53, grandkids multiply. Timmy's third, Mia's gap year Europe. Morgan's archive donated, papers to Library of Congress, queer history etched. Riley's health dip, routine check flags polyps, biopsy benign but scare bonds tighter. Hospital wait, Morgan's hand anchor. We've outrun worse. Spring renewal, Lila's girlfriend over for dinner, Willow's crush unrequited, but penned poetic. Summer pride local, grand martial honors, twins emceeing youth stage. Fall harvest, family farm stay, picking apples, pies baked communal. Winter awards, Morgan's Pulitzer nod for voices, shortlist thrill. Gala loss gracious, win and impact. 54. Tuscany return, solo writing, Riley joining mid, reunions fervent. Villa pool, water sex slow, flotation aiding, bodies weightless, pleasure drifting deep. Home fall, Nora's school play, Theo's dinosaurs. Winter solstice, full moon ritual, circle of hands, past to future. 55. Twins high school, AP classes, college dreams. Lila art school, Willow journalism. Summer road trip, Southwest canyons, echoes of resilience. Fall's chill, Clara's passing sudden, heart, grief group hug, stories her legacy. Winter holidays, twins first drives, cautionary tales lace love. By 56, reflections deepen, Morgan's memoir sequel, echoes endure. Riley's retrospective book. One eve, creek with daughters, now women, grandkids splashing. Morgan to Riley, our hook held. Kiss enduring. Truth's the knot that ties. Love's final chapters, richly rendered.